So it's a pleasure and an honor to be at such a conference with representatives from businesses who have actually worked on a lot of these projects that governments usually talk about. So usually the governments are saying how we should invest more, how we should be more energy efficient, how we should build solar panels, wind farms, and so on. But actually it's businesses that do it. And I think it's businesses that should be the main driver behind this. I had a different idea for a presentation, but the first panel was very interesting, so I got a couple of ideas from those speakers. So I apologize if I sound a little bit incoherent. First of all, I have to say I have the cynicism and skepticism of a much older man. I'm not that optimistic in the short term. I see a lot of problems, a lot of challenges. And of course, I'm saying this not to depress you or dishearten you. I'm saying this because seeing those challenges means that we can actually overcome them. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year, but in the next couple of years. First of all, the comparison with Japan was very interesting. And the moral of this story was, because Japan has had very high prices, and by the way, all of Asia is suffering from high energy prices, they are actually ready for this energy revolution. So high prices, of course, they hurt us, but actually they're the driving factor behind energy progress. If you think back, the renewable energy revolution came about due to high energy prices. Only it was the 70s, and it wasn't natural gas, it was oil. And this time, of course, natural gas is hurting us much more than oil, but this is the driving factor again, which can lead to innovation, which can lead to different business models, different technological solutions, and so forth. So I don't think high prices should be seen as some evil which should be fought at all costs. The second point I wanted to make is that energy policy should be at least regional, if not European-wide. This is something we're seeing, for example, with German energy prices. When German energy power prices are low, this is mostly due to favorable wind conditions. And when their prices are low, the neighboring countries' prices are a little bit higher, and the rest of Europe is basically doing their thing. When German power prices are very high, everywhere prices are high. I mean, the whole map just lights in red. Of course, there are some differences, but these differences are in the margin of 10, 20 euros, maybe something like this. So this is an issue, and I think this should be thought about a little bit more. It's not, this is, by the way, a lesson that Europe should have learned back in 2009, 2010 with the banking crisis, with the euro crisis. You can't have a union, you can't have a common market and different countries just doing whatever they want, and this not having some kind of consequences for neighboring countries, and in some cases for Europe as a whole. So in this respect, I think energy policies in Europe should be much more regionally based, especially in terms of the cooperation between Romania, Bulgaria, and Greece. It's very easy to see in the energy sector where these countries can actually cooperate. And of course, it's very easy to create a much larger market, for example, demand for LNG, let's say, and actually negotiate on a regional basis. This is something the European Commission proposed a couple of months ago. This is, by the way, a solution that we've been talking about since 2009. At least I think these are my first memories about this. We should negotiate Europe-wide deliveries of natural gas. Of course, between 2009 and now, we didn't see any of this, but hopefully this could change. And again, the pioneer in this respect is going to be, again, this region, the Southeast European region. The other major issue is infrastructure. The last panel mentioned it a couple of times. This is very interesting. Infrastructure is kind of the very, very boring topic that we weren't talking about in the past 10 years. We were talking about renewable energy sources. We're talking about diversifying, closing down coal power plants, replacing them with natural gas, because natural gas was much cheaper and it has lower carbon emissions. And it's very easy to make an energy transition when everything is cheap. Prices were generally decreasing in the past decade. And in 2018, 2019, we saw record low coal prices, natural gas prices, and of course, electricity prices. So until this point, it was very easy to make the energy transition. Now begins the fun part, because prices are going to be low for a while. Financial conditions are not going to be that favorable. And of course, governments have to be much more prudent in what kind of programs they're going to be stimulated. But infrastructure is one of those major issues. One of the presenters mentioned the 24,000 megawatt renewable energy sources that are waiting to be connected to the Bulgarian grid. And one of the reasons for this delay, of course, there are several, is that the grid is not prepared to actually connect them. We've seen this in Hungary, we've seen this in the UK. In the UK, for example, new renewable energy sources projects are forming a waiting list. They will be connected 2028, 2029, 2030. So you have a developer saying, I want to invest in your country, and the country saying, okay, that's fine. You can invest now, but you'll see your first cash flow in 10 years, which is just ridiculous. Of course, he's going to move the investment or not invest at all. So infrastructure, especially power infrastructure regarding renewable energy sources, is very important. We have to catch up the last 10 years because we didn't invest a lot. And of course, we have to invest even more in the next 10 years because plans are becoming much more ambitious. Companies are starting to see the benefit of actually investing in their own renewable energy sources, which changes the whole consumption profile of the country and so on. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, financial conditions are not going to be that favorable. In the past 10 years, we saw very loose fiscal policy, a lot of government programs encouraging, subsidizing different energy projects. We saw a very loose monetary policy, negative interest rates, very low corporate interest rates in commercial banking, and so on. The next 10 years, there's going to be some kind of a correction. As I said, I'm very pessimistic, but I'm sure interest rates are going to go up. So the average interest rate in the next decade is going to be considerably higher compared to the last one. This, of course, will make public funds available, not so available. So there's going to be a scarcity there as well. And in this respect, governments will start to rethink what kind of programs they support. So we have to be much more conservative, and we have to weigh the pros and cons of investing in one thing rather than investing in another. A couple of months ago, the head of the French Central Bank said that if we want to achieve the energy and climate goals for 2030, governments will have to combine both resources and a lot of imagination to actually achieve them, which means we have to do something else. I mean, what we've done in the past 10 years maybe could have worked in the past 10 years, but now we have new opportunities, of course, but we have to find a new way to go forward and a new way to actually achieve the 2030 goals. The United States shale revolution was given as an example in different conversations, but again, this happened at the wake of the at the end of the previous financial crisis. So in this period, monetary policy was very low. Companies were being financed at very low rates. There were a lot of government programs. Basically, money was pouring into the economy at an unprecedented rate. This is not going to happen in the next 10 years. So what I'm trying to say is we should embrace high prices. We should use them to make us think about how we can innovate, how we can be better based on these high prices, because they're not going to go away the next couple of years, and maybe not ever. We should keep in mind that financial and fiscal opportunities are not going to be as vast and as unparalleled as they were in the past 10 years. So we should think hard about what we invest, why we invest in it, and what exactly do we want to achieve by this. And I'll stop here. I'm hoping for a lively discussion afterwards. Thank you.